information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. We are not medical doctors. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or wellness routine. The content of this podcast should not be used as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. By tuning in, you acknowledge that any health decisions you make are your own responsibility. Take what resonates and always listen to your body.
Welcome to the Tula Ananda podcast, where we talk all things whole life living, blending Ayurveda, ancestral wisdom, and a modern approach to well-being. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Devon. We're here to help you bring balance, vitality, and a little bit more ease into your everyday life without the overwhelm.
Think of this as your go-to space for Ayurvedic insights, timeless traditions, and practical wellness tips, served up in a way that actually fits your life.
So grab your tea, get comfy, and let's explore how ancient wisdom and modern living can come together to help you feel your best. Welcome to Tula Ananda. Let's get started. Friends, welcome back to our podcast. It's been a little while. We had to take a little bit of time off, but we are back, and I am super excited because it's spring.
Yay,
but I'm also feeling the effects of spring.
Yes.
Allergies, all the fun stuff. So today's podcast, we're going to focus on spring allergies. So if you're like me and you're dealing with congestion, sneezing, itchy eyes, you are definitely not alone.
Or if your form of allergies means that you just feel generally sluggish like me.
I have that too, on top of the congestion. But yes, it is the time of year where we feel sluggish in addition to all the allergy symptoms. So we're going to talk about this, as you guys know, from an Ayurvedic perspective. And we're just going to learn different ways that we can understand and approach seasonal allergies through the lens of Ayurveda.
And how we can get some relief from all the wonderful things that spring brings us. We obviously love the flowers and the greenery and the trees coming back to life, but some of that congestion, we don't want to deal with that.
Yes, I love that I can get outside right now, though. That is one thing, like, walking is great, but then, like, yesterday I took a walk and I was sneezing on my way home. And there's all that green. I don't know what the trees are that we have right now in Ohio that are shedding, but there's, like, green powder everywhere.
Yes, I don't know what that is. I know the pollen is out there for sure, but I don't know what that green stuff is.
It's everywhere.
It's apparently, and we're breathing it in. So let's understand a little bit more about spring allergies. You want to dive into that, my friend?
Sure. So when pollen enters the body, like I had yesterday, the immune system can overreact, like mine does. It treats pollen like a threat, even though it's not harmful. So that's what leads to symptoms like sneezing, congestion, runny nose, watery eyes, and even fatigue.
Yes. That's what gets me. And the watery eyes, usually when I'm driving. Which is probably not the best place to have watery eyes. So it's, from a modern perspective, it's your immune system is just overreacting to everything that's in the environment. But in Ayurveda, we look at it through a completely different kind of lens. So in Ayurveda, it all comes back to what we talk about all the time, balance, especially of the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And spring is known as Kapha season, which we might not think sometimes that spring goes along with that because we think of Kapha as colder and heavy and slow. But if you think about what's happening in the earth, it's saturated. There's a lot of growth happening, which is also associated with kapha. And, of course, we still have that coolness in the air along with the moisture. So it definitely makes sense that it's kapha season. And then you have everything blooming, That's that energy, kapha energy in nature. When the same energy builds up in the body, that's how it's showing up as mucus and congestion and sluggishness. So you've got that excess kapha, maybe partly from the end of winter, which is also kapha season. And then you've got that late or that spring heaviness and moisture as well. Mm-hmm. So these are all the things we associate with allergies. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, going back to that cold thing, like, even though, like, today it's pretty warm here, like, just a few days ago we had, like, a cold blast.
Yeah, it was like 39.
And we're not really out of the clear, even though we're getting pretty close to May. We still have a couple more weeks, before it gets more consistently warm. So we still have to be careful with our kapha right now for just a little bit longer, and then we can start thinking about summer. So instead of just asking, what am I reacting to when it comes to allergies, Ayurveda instead asks us, what's out of balance in my body? So one of the biggest concepts in Ayurveda, we've talked a lot about this in some of our previous podcasts, is digestion. So we've talked about Agni before too. So Agni is really important. It's that digestive fire. So when we want to think about our balance, we might want to think kind of first about, what we're eating and our digestion and how is that looking. So when your digestion is really strong, your body processes food efficiently. But when it's weak, it creates something called ama. And ama are toxins. So ama is basically toxic buildup that we can have in our body. You can kind of think of it as undigested material that's heavy, sticky, and clogging. And this is kind of like TMI and maybe a little bit gross, but in Ayurveda, we talk about lots of things that might be thought of as gross. One way that you can see ama like the easiest is through the tongue scraping. Mm-hmm. So like if you're doing the tongue scraper regularly and you see more of a buildup like that white, or it can be different colors, but kind of more of a solid texture to it, that might be a sign that there is some buildup of toxins in your body, and just something to kind of keep an eye out for. And that's important because ama behaves a lot like excess kapha. So if you have a lot of ama, if you already have kapha, or depending on the season, like right now, we're all going through kapha, it's going to just kind of make all that feel a lot worse. So it can block pathways in the body and make you feel more reactive to allergens. So allergies aren't just about the pollen. We tend to blame that a lot, even myself. I'm blaming all that green powdery stuff outside on the sidewalk, but it's not just about that. It's also about what your body isn't clearing properly.
Yeah, so one of the biggest strategies for some relief from the Ayurvedic perspective is to think about lightening your diet. And you may have already noticed kind of intuitively that you're drawn a little bit more towards some lighter foods now that we're out of that late winter period. And it's not the time now for those heavy rich meals. That's more of the fall, early winter type of things. And now we want to focus on warm food still, but lighter things like soups and steamed vegetables, warm grains like quinoa or barley, those things that are more easily digestible and also high in nutrients, so that you can help your body to lighten some as well. Also, this is not the time of year that you want to eat a lot of dairy. Because it is kapha season and dairy can aggravate your kapha more. Also, fried foods and sugar, cold drinks, cold sodas for sure. Those are things that you want to avoid. Those are all going to increase kapha. And if you already have a tendency to allergies and you've got some ama, you really don't want to overload yourself.
No, I'm drinking hot tea right now, even though I think it's going to be like 70 degrees today.
Yes.
Just because I know, like, even though maybe something cold sounds good in some ways, really those warming beverages, we're not quite into the summer yet, which I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get closer in another podcast, but we do still want to kind of stick with some of those warming foods for now, like Elizabeth mentioned. So to reduce ama, basically, like what we've been saying, is you want to strengthen your digestion. Just really simple things can help, like drinking that warm water, teas throughout the day. Don't overthink this when it comes to diet. Just think warm. What's going to be easy for me to digest. And then also, we've talked a lot about this before, that warm or hot water with lemon in the morning. I cannot stress that enough.
Just do it. It's so good for you.
It is like one of those things that I just do every day. That and the tongue scraper. Morning. It is just part of my morning ritual, and I just think it helps with your digestion. It just gets that ama cleared out right away. It's just such an important thing to do.
I feel like this time of year, the lemon really helps clear my brain too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can think clearer after I've had that hot lemon water in the morning.
So good. And then if you have time, you can also add just a little pinch of some spices to your hot morning lemon waters. Things like ginger, cumin, and fennel, again, will just help to strengthen your digestion just right off the bat in the morning.
Yeah, and then if you are somebody who likes variety, it gives you a little something different too, so you can play with your lemon water. Mm-hmm. And then something we maybe have not talked about a lot is the use of neti pot for nasal rinsing. This is not something that I do, but I have scar tissue in my ears from tubes that I had when I was little. So it's not recommended for me, but I know that it has a lot of benefits. And if you have issues like I do where you can't do the neti pot, you can get the nasal sprays, and those work in a similar fashion. It's not quite as thorough as the neti pot, but if you can't use a neti pot, it does help. And then do you want to talk about the neti pot? Because I know you've done that.
I have, but honestly, I'm kind of like you, where I'm not doing it as much these days. There was a period where I was having reoccurring sinus infections, and I discovered that mine is a lot from dryness. And I tend to have like my nasal, I think it's maybe because of my allergies, but also medications and things that I'm on for my asthma, that dries out my nasal passages. So I have found that for me, doing the nose oil, Nasya oil, is actually just like the best thing for me to do to keep it lubricated. But I do know that a lot of people really do swear by the neti pot, and I do think it has benefits. I think just some of the things that you want to keep in mind is you don't want to use tap water. Mm-hmm. There can be lots of things, microbes and things like that in our water. Yeah. Even if you have purified water, you just never know. So you want to make sure that you're using distilled water always in your neti pot. And then you just kind of tilt your head, and then you put the little spout through one side, let it drain, and then do the other side. You might kind of clear the nasal passages between sides. When I used to do it more regularly, I did it in the shower because it can be messy, and I just didn't want to deal with dripping, all over the counter or the sink. So that would be my recommendation is, maybe do it in the shower, and it can just be part of your ritual. But people do really swear by it, and it really can clean things out pretty effectively. I would just say, for sure, if you are neti potting, because it does you add the salts to it, make sure that you are using a nose oil after, like a Nasya oil, which is usually Nasya oils, things like sesame oil. It can be olive oil, even coconut oil. You just want to put a little bit in your nasal passages just to help lubricate so you don't dry out.
Yes, and we do sell one on the site. If you want one that's pre-made, and ours is sesame oil based and has some of the herbs in it too. So yeah, it's really good. I use that every day.
Yeah, and this is not an opportunity for us to try to market our nose oils, but I also use it twice a day, and it is one of those things, kind of like along with the lemon water and the tongue scraping, that's just part of my daily ritual, and I found it to be one of the best things I can do for my sinuses.
Definitely. Thinking along the lines of herbs, as there are herbs in those nausea oils, there are also some herbs that you can use for relief of some symptoms. Tulsi or holy basil is really good if you're having respiratory issues with your allergies. And then turmeric is really helpful for inflammation. And, we think about inflammation, we sometimes think about the joints, but that inflammation can also be in your head and your nose and your sinuses and your chest. And so turmeric will help with all of those areas where you have some allergic inflammation too. And blends like Trick-a-Two will help to clear some of the excess mucus and some of the toxins, the ama, that are built up in the system. So those are some herbal supports that you might try for this time of year.
So some other things that you can think about too, just in your daily routine and your lifestyle. So kapha thrives on stillness. So like me and Elizabeth were kind of talking, you might feel that fatigue, the sluggishness, and you might want to feel the need to lean into it. But, really what you need to do is move. So movement is key in spring, even if you have to kind of force yourself to do it. So again, taking those walks, like I've been kind of forced. Once I go out, I know I feel so much better.
It's the getting started this time of year.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah. Same thing with like sleeping lately. I've noticed I don't want to get, not like that I'm depressed or anything, but I just don't really want to get out of bed. Like that lack of motivation.
It feels so cozy.
Like I'm just like, oh, I'm right where I want to be. And
listen to the kapha girl over here. I'm like, I just want to get into bed. I'm currently sitting on the floor too, like a kapha. I might need some tea.
So yeah, movement is key in spring. Not that rest is not equally important, but you kind of just have to get your engine started a little bit more this time of year. Daily exercise, always good any time of year, but especially this time, getting things moving. Dry brushing can be a really good thing to add into your routine. It just helps with that sluggishness and it helps to kind of
clear the toxins.
Yeah, and after winter, it's just kind of good to get rid of, some of that through the exfoliation process. It's really good for your circulation.
It's great for cellulite too.
Yeah, lymphatic system. There's just so many great benefits with dry brushing. Also, waking up early can make a big difference. So I know we don't feel like we want to, some of us, get up early. But if you can, stick with those Ayurvedic principles, even though the sun is out more where we are this time of year, trying to still go to bed, around 10 o'clock or so that you can get up early with the sun, will make your day just feel so much better and help with your energy levels.
I do notice a big difference with that too, because I think we've talked before, like I usually get up between 5 and 6 throughout the year, and now I'm like, I want to lay here until about 7:30.
Yeah.
But if I do that, I feel sluggish for the rest of the day. And if I just make myself get up by 6, I'm much more productive and I feel better than if I take that luxurious, although it's so nice.
I know. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not really sleeping anyway. Like, my body still wants to get up at like 6 or 6:30, but then I'm just kind of like, I'm in here, all cozy,
just laying there.
No. So I just don't think it's really helpful. But also with the sleep thing too, like I've noticed since the sun has been staying out later, I've been like outside longer, and which is great, but like really we still want to try to get into bed when we can a little bit earlier, just because it will help us for the next day.
You don't want to mess up our routine.
Yeah, and try to also avoid daytime naps this time of year. They can just again increase that feeling of heaviness and congestion that we already have.
Yes. And then some thinking about routines and staying on task with our routines. I'm going to say it again for your morning routine. Wake up early, drink your warm lemon water. We really can't express that enough. I feel like if we talked about it at every episode, it still wouldn't be enough.
I know.
And then scraping your tongue and making sure when you're doing that, check, is there a lot of buildup there? Maybe it's time to think about a cleanse. If you have a lot of, this is a great time of year to do a cleanse. And if there's just a little, maybe incorporating some lifestyle changes to address some of that. And then if you're doing the nasal rinse, doing that, and then follow with some light movement. I'm currently working on habit stacking. Have you heard of this? Where you do like movement every day, right? But you tack it on to something that's already part of your routine. So like you drink your lemon water and then maybe you do 5-10 minutes and you do that every day so that this is a really good time of year to establish that routine where even though you might do another workout later, get that movement up in the morning so that you're ready to move. And then a warm, light breakfast to support your digestion, get your metabolism going. It is, I know we talk a little sometimes about skipping breakfast for me, but actually this time of year I make a concentrated effort to eat breakfast because I need to get my metabolism kicked up this time of year. And it doesn't have to be perfect, your morning routine, but getting into a consistent habit of some of these things. If you're new to Ayurveda, start with that warm lemon water and waking up early, and then slowly add on some of those, the tongue scraping and movement until you get more comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. It's something I think is really important to keep in mind. You know, I think me and you, Elizabeth, are pretty good at kind of having a very balanced, of course I'm biased, but I think we have a pretty balanced, open-minded perspective of Ayurveda. Like, yes, you know, doing all of these natural routines and lifestyle things, eating, you know, with the seasons is great, but really we have to keep in mind that Ayurveda doesn't have to always replace modern medicine. I already shared earlier in the podcast that I have, you know, lifetime asthma, and I have tried to do lots of natural things in my life, and some things have helped. I also shared some of the things that helped me. And, you know, I do have to take medicine. I'm taking my Claritin this time of year. I do also take, you know, a natural supplement, though, as well, that has different things in it. So I think it's just that balance, but not trying to have Ayurveda necessarily replace modern medicine, but letting it work together. So if you do need antihistamines like I do, please don't torture yourself, or, you know, or other treatments.
Don't stop your current treatments.
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, the things that we do in Ayurveda a lot of time are just to help enhance whatever we have going on in our lives. But that doesn't mean that we aren't sometimes, you know, taking Claritin or whatever it is. So think of Ayurveda more as addressing the root cause. I like to think of it as a lot as like a preventative thing. But modern medicine can also be really helpful with managing our symptoms when we need it.
Yes. And I don't take any allergy meds, but I do take a thyroid medicine, and I definitely do not want to stop taking that.
Right.
You know, it's a compliment.
So definitely always consult with your doctor. Like, you know, we're providing these Ayurvedic lifestyle changes, but, you know, always at the end of the day, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And, you know, Western medicine is not a terrible thing necessarily.
It's very necessary sometimes.
And I think Ayurveda works best. And Western medicine, they both work well together. So I think when they can complement each other, they work well.
Each one makes the other one better, So spring is a season of renewal, and thinking about that, this is also a good time of year to set intentions. You know, we do that at the beginning of the year, and then in spring, this is like the time that you're planning out, like, what's your garden going to look like? What are you going to do in the yard this year? The adventures and fun things you want to take, and how you want to renew your life for this coming season. But also, it can feel overwhelming for the body when we're going through that transition. This is one of the harder transitions in the year, and so just making sure that you are honoring that and giving yourself grace. If you stay in bed too long one day, go to bed early, wake up early the next day, get back on track, and just being aligned more with the season, eating lighter, moving more, clearing out the stagnant toxins, ama. And when you're doing that, you're not just treating your allergies, but you're building a long-term resilience, and you're starting to form some of those habits.
Yeah. And if this episode helped you, please share it with someone who struggles with spring allergies. You know, we really like to be able to spread the word of Ayurveda to as many people as we can. And we'll see you next time. So in the meantime, just stay balanced and take care of yourself and your health. Take a couple of moments to share some of our sponsors with you guys. So One of our sponsors is Handful. Handful is an all-day flattering sports bra. This is the bra you'll actually want to wear all day. It's soft, supportive, and seriously flattering. Handful lifts without wires, flatters without flattening, and fits like a dream. Enjoy an exclusive discount with our promo code at handful.com, and our promo code is Tula Ananda.
Okay, I want to share another one of our sponsors with you. This is the Cumin Club, and some of you, if you've been on our Facebook page, you've seen me mention this. This is something that I've been using. They're 5-minute Indian meals, and they're freeze-dried, so they have all the nutrients still intact, and they're super quick, super easy. Literally, it's 5 minutes, and you have a hot, nutritious meal. You can kind of go on a culinary voyage with Cumin Club. They have authentic, ready-to-cook Indian meals, and they deliver them to your doorstep. You can spice up your dinner routine pretty effortlessly. You can add the sauce to tofu or whatever your protein is, or veggies. And again, it's so easy, and it's really delicious. You get a exclusive discount through us as our listener, 30% off. And the code is Tula Ananda. And you want to make sure that you do a one-time order, because it will not be valid for their subscription service. So that one-time order, you can use our code Tula Ananda, and that is at thecuminclub.com.